Howdy guys, this is Shane. Welcome to the In the Blues Tone podcast. This is a little bit of a special edition podcast today. The channel has just clicked over 100,000 subscribers. So firstly, straight away, thank you so much to everybody who's jumped on board and to all those subscribers who have been here since the early days of my videos. I really appreciate it. We still have some folks from back in the old days, which was just amazing to still see. So thank you so much. And what can I tell you? It's a huge milestone in terms of numbers. And this is the weird thing on YouTube. Sometimes subscriber numbers don't always reflect the influence of a channel. My channel's had over 56 million views or thereabouts, so it's had a whole lot of views, a lot more than channels with twice the subscriber base. But I really believe in what I'm doing, and I hope you enjoy it, and I'm sure it will grow faster now. It kind of gets over that milestone. I've noticed with a lot of other channels, the content doesn't really change, but their subscriber base grew a lot. As soon as they got to around 100,000, it just grew even faster. So we'll see how it goes over the next 12 months or so. But so far so good. And I'm going to take you back in time, so to speak, and I'm going to show you a little bit about my beginnings on YouTube, because this is something that I've never really explained, and how I got into it, why I got into it, and all of that kind of stuff, and where it is today, and how I see it maybe in a few years from now. I always struggle with those kind of questions, with how do I see the channel in a few years, but you know, I thought now was a good time, you know, hitting that milestone, coming back from Germany with Dr. Rick. I just thought, you know what, it might be a good chance for me to show you a little bit about the beginnings on YouTube and how it all started for me. So initially when I first got on here, it was 2006, it was around June or July, and all I was doing was posting band clips. So the In the Blues was actually the In the Blues Trio. So that was my band name back then. It was three of us, and we played blues, and that's all we played. We might have played a little bit of blues rock, but it was mostly old school blues. So if you go back to the start of my channel, all the way back, you'll see the In the Blues Trio videos, and you'll see a whole lot of weird and just a mix of stuff from back then as well, including some travel video I shot while I was in Michigan, and just some really bizarre stuff from back in the day. And yeah, just some clips of me playing back then as well, playing live. And I just wanted somewhere to store a lot of videos. I also took down a lot of videos that I had back in the day as well, some surfing videos and stuff that wasn't as relevant to the channel as where it is today, but I've still got all those on my hard drive. But I guess, you know, what I noticed especially was I posted my first gear demo. Oh, well, actually, I posted a couple, but the first one was actually a Laney VC30, and this was an amp that I wanted to sell. And it sold really quickly. I put it up on a quick clip of me playing it on YouTube. So that was kind of like a demo, but my first conventional demo was the PV Bandit 112 video that I did 11 years ago. So a long time ago. It's had 172,000 views. And just looking at the quality of this video, I'm going to be clicking around a bit on this video. So if you hear my mouse, I apologize for that. But yeah, this was back at a time where I love these amps, right? The PV Bandits is just a really great sounding amp. But this was at a time where I had no lighting. I had a low definition camera. This was before HD and all that kind of stuff as well. Or at least to my knowledge it was. I only had this little small camcorder and it did the job. But the video quality was pretty low. But I compared it, I think also just in explanation to my DeVille in that video as well, and even now that video still does well, and that went up on April 4th 2007. So that was kind of like the first time that I posted a gear video, not really thinking too much about it. So 11 years ago, and right after that I posted another one called the PV Bandit 112 video number 2, and that had 50,000 views. So it didn't get a whole lot of views the second one, but it still did pretty well for back then though. That was pretty popular. And I noticed that these videos were getting a lot of views pretty quickly, and this was before monetization or partner accounts and all that. I didn't really get into that until about 2011, possibly, somewhere around there. So I did many years of uploading clips of me recording other people playing, as well as just jamming at home with my guitar and some backing tracks. And that's something I'm going to do more of again coming up. Just make it more about playing as opposed to, you know, I kind of maybe lost focus with too much gear. But I've tried to balance my channel out over the years with different content as well. But as we go through the videos here, there's more live playing, plenty of that. But the first video I really think that kind of put me on the map was one pedal in particular. Now, this was the Behringer T0800 tube overdrive pedal. It's currently up to 162,000 views. So not a lot of views, I guess, compared to some of my other videos that I made years later. But it did extremely well for back then. Now, this was the first video of its type on YouTube in terms of that pedal. Maybe not the first pedal demo either, I'm not saying that. But I went looking for a video on this and I couldn't find it. So you know what I did? I went up to the shop and I purchased it. And I came back and I shot a video because I figured, you know what? Maybe people might want to know how this sounds. And I was right. And this was still long before the partner account and all that kind of stuff. And it was funny because I remember looking at it had 1,000 views, had 11,000 views. And this was over the course of a couple of weeks. And I thought, wow, there's a bit of an audience for this. So maybe I'll start buying a few more of these pedals because there's no videos of these online anywhere. So that's what I did. I ended up getting a couple of others called the Behringer BO100. It's an odd name, I know, but it's had 131,000 views, and that was 11 years ago as well, so the same year. I also made a whole lot of really horrible videos. If you want to see the worst video on YouTube, I think I have dibs on that. It was the Seymour Duncan pickup booster demo. It's had 44,000 views, and it was terrible. I tried experimenting with different camera angles and trying to get these cutscenes, and this was before really good quality editing software was available. Everything was glitchy. I think back then I had a Celeron 1 gigahertz computer, and that was like state of the art back then, you know, so a Celeron, yeah, it was old school. And then I also did some other stuff that I thought might be cool as well. I reviewed some stuff that I purchased from my home studio, which was the Behringer Ultra Gain Pro and Joe Meek preamps, all that kind of stuff, some microphones. And then I just started personally going out and buying a whole lot of stuff. And this was around the time I was trying to find my tone, going through different guitars, pickups, and all that. And this wasn't for videos. This was because I was a live player. I love playing live, and that was just something that I did before YouTube, and it's something that I'll continue to do whenever I finish with it as well. So yeah, I bought a crate amplifier. That was probably the next thing. And then I thought, you know what, I might as well... by that time, I think I also owned maybe 3 or 4 Behringer pedals. So I just did a shootout video between them, and that got a lot of views as well. So I started to see these firsts. You know, I try like just doing shootout videos. This was not something that I saw other people do. It was just like, well, let's compare these and see what happens. And they became popular. So I worked off that. I thought, you know what? This kind of format of video seems to have more traction than my live playing. So maybe I'll just post more gear stuff, and anything that I buy, I'll make videos of. And you know what? I actually didn't do that in the end. I was posting still a lot of videos on pickups, like I mentioned, but a lot of the stuff that I was posting was just stuff that really blew me away. I also had a chance to play in Chicago and Austin, Texas as well, so I put up some early vlog videos. And this wasn't something that I thought was I didn't even know what a vlog was. But if you go back 9 years ago, I put up a video called Shane in the USA, a musical and travel journey. And in a way, that was a vlog video, and that was not something that I really thought about. I should also tell you too, like before any of this, back in high school, I was lucky enough to own like a really crappy tape camera. And I used to just put little videos together at home or with friends and all that kind of stuff. So I was always into making videos and just editing stuff. Even though I wasn't great at it, I really enjoyed it. And I think that's why I found YouTube as appealing as I do, because it's a place you can store your stuff but also share it with people as well. I never looked at it as anything more than that, and I still don't. I think it's great to be able to share things with everybody out there. I guess now it is kind of like what I do as my day job, and put that in quotations, but it's still the same for me. Like, I actually have a few smaller channels that don't make any money, but I still upload to them because I enjoy it. So that's something that I'll just always do, irrespective of whatever happens on YouTube down the track. So yeah, I had a lot of stuff that went up that I wasn't really thinking about too much at the time. And then I guess where things really started to take off for me was just the videos. I look at the difference between, say, a PV Delta Blues amplify video, which has had almost 100,000 views, versus a guitar video of me playing, which, you know, 11 years later has only had like 819 views or something like that. So there's a huge discrepancy there, and I figured, you know what, let's just video everything that I've got in my collection at that particular time. So that's what I did. I started doing pedal board setup videos. I started doing just pedal demos of whatever I had. And that's kind of where it started for me. It's sort of, you know, I'm just looking back through my videos. There's still a lot of live content from 9 years ago. But one of my first videos was a rant video about planet wave cables as well, and how they kind of weren't great. And then I went through more amplifiers. I had the Tech 21, and then I ended up getting some other equipment like more pedals and more amps. And this was just stuff I was doing because that's what I did. I was looking for a sound. I went through so much stuff. And even up until 2009, 2010, everything I was posting was basically stuff I owned. I didn't borrow anything up until a bit later on. I was buying stuff when I traveled in the US. I was trying new speakers. I was doing all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it looks like around 8 years ago, which was around 2010, was right about the time where I met a few guys, including Dr. Rick and Brian and a few of these other guys that you've seen on my channel over the years, and I started to borrow some of their gear. And it was just to keep the channel busy. I wasn't really posting a lot of stuff. I was most likely working somewhere at that particular time. And 8 years ago, I bought my first HD camera. So this was cool. I was in San Francisco, went to a place called Fry's, and I picked up two Sony HDR CX110 video cameras. And I used them for a long time. Still with no lighting. I had the yellow look of the video and all that kind of stuff. No white balancing, no lighting at all. And that was the biggest improvement I made over the years, was to get some lighting. Even with poor quality cameras or lesser quality cameras, they're actually pretty good. I've still got one actually. The lighting just made the biggest difference. And I started posting more live clips again as well, and they had no views. But I also started to redo a few of the videos that did well with better cameras and better audio. So I ended up doing another PV Bandit video, which did really, really well. And then also comparing the PV Bandit to the Hot Rod Deluxe, which seemed to be a pretty popular video and gave people, I think, a sense of how great, you know, those PV Bandits can sound. I did a whole lot of sort of obscure stuff as well, almost like a tech review 7 years ago, where I unboxed a speaker system that I purchased. Totally not guitar related at all, but I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do that and sort of see how that goes as well. I ended up buying some bass gear. I ended up going through a whole lot more amplifiers, including Egnator, Vox AC15s, AC30s, hot rods, all different kinds. I had a chance to test some Ulbrich amplifiers, which are made in Australia. Some studio equipment, man, there's so much stuff. But even up until 7 years ago, I'm looking at it, there's still lots and lots of live footage from back in the day. And before I could sing, well as I can now. I'm not going to say I'm a great singer now, but there was some pretty awful vocals back in the day. So it did improve, thankfully. I made an effort with that. But another really cool video, which I thought was going to probably get more views, there was a video I posted called Driving to Waycross. I can't seem to find it right now, but that was another sort of travel vlog video I did, driving from Florida up to Georgia in the US. And same thing. I didn't even know it was a vlog video. I just did it because I wanted a memory of it. And that's how I still see YouTube. It's like an awesome way of storing your life in a way, and just ideas and thoughts and adventures and all of that kind of stuff. And speaking of which, you're going to see a big GitCon 2018, not a vlog, but an adventure video. We didn't really vlog it with the cameras in our face the entire time or anything like that. But Rick and I did shoot a lot of footage, and I might do a bit of a voiceover thing for it as well, and show you a little bit about that and store that on YouTube as well, just because that's the kind of guy I am. I like to store stuff like that somewhere other than just on a hard drive. So, and it'll be great to share that with such a huge and awesome audience as well. So that was cool. And then we've got stuff I did in San Francisco as well, live playing, as well as playing here. And I think maybe the first video, look, I could be wrong, the first actual sort of video that introduced Rick, there might have been some live clips before this, but the first one that I can think of that Rick was on was one called King of the Hill Theme with Rick Wong. So he's got a really great photographic memory for music, and I lent him the DVDs, and he could play it without having to practice it. It's a pretty awesome skill. And I think that might have been the first not gear video, but the first video where he was sort of introduced to the channel. And then, you know, I got together with him and we shot a whole lot of videos together not long after that, where he had just unreal gear and he'd come over and test mine. I go to his place and we'd film. So there was always videos going up. And then we started playing in the band together not long after that as well. And there's a lot of really great videos of him playing live and myself as well. And then I guess going through, you know, the thing, playing in a band and all that kind of stuff, you buy powered speakers and PA systems, and those videos did really well. There wasn't a whole lot of that stuff even 6 years ago. So I was one of the first to put the Behringer active speakers up on YouTube as well, and that's a huge thing. If you get first with a few things, you tend to do well if it's a big generic product like, you know, powered speakers. So the 215D's active powered speakers videos up to about 150,000 views, and you know, it's a hard thing to review a speaker because, you know, you can't really sort of hear it properly on a video. So I just explained it, but they're really, you know, those kind of videos did really well for me as well. I think that really helped the subscriber base grow. And then we started with Rick's videos. So after a whole lot of pedals that I bought and sold, that's what I was doing at the time, Rick kind of started to feature on more of the videos, and he came in around the Victoria Regal amplifier video, he came in on the Victoria Regal amplifier, I meant to say. So he had some great stuff, and I think we shot like 8 or 10 videos pretty much in a day, or something like that anyway. There's a whole lot of them here. And yeah, so that was fun. It was great having someone else on the channel and someone who could just play a lot of great stuff. And one of the first copyright strikes I ever got was thanks to one of his solos in one of the videos. And we just got another one. So thanks to that, Rick. I appreciate it. But yeah, you know, one of the biggest videos I've ever had on YouTube was a guitar tuner video. It's had 2.4 million views. And the reason that I made that video was because I saw that other videos at that particular time had 2.4 million views. So I thought, I'm going to make one of these and see if it works. And people watched it and people use it, and it's one of my most successful videos every single month. So yeah, all it is you play it and you tune your guitar by ear. That's it. So 6 years later, it's still doing extremely well. And I went through some acoustic gear as well, but mostly a lot of the stuff I made, what seemed to work best for my channel was not the lessons that I tried making or anything, but it was more about gear and stuff like that as well. So that's what I did. About what year's this year? Let me just find this. All right, so this was right about the time I decided to take YouTube a little more seriously. I got my partner account. I would have been around, I'm going to say around 10,000 subscribers, something like that. Maybe 15. It was quite some time ago. It might have been more, actually. Look, I'm not really too sure. If I find the stats, I'll post something on screen. But this went up on around January 19th, 2012, was right about the time I thought, you know what, I'm going to enable this partner account and see how it can go. And I remember I made like $3 in one day, right? $3. And it was sort of like passive. And I went, oh, this is really cool. If I can just make enough to cover another business idea I had, I'll be happy. And I got up to that level, which was, I don't know, around $100 a month. It took a while, but it was something like that. And then that failed miserably. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to focus more on YouTube and just borrow everything I can from all of my friends. And that's what I did. So for those wondering how I got my hands on so much gear in the early days, I had a lot of guitar friends outside of YouTube. Like, these were just friends I had, and I borrowed everything I could. And just some of the videos were hilarious and some were terrible, but it was all a learning curve to making things better. I started, like I said to Andy Martin when I saw him at GigCon. I said, your channel really inspired me to try and make better videos. And I didn't know a lot about editing back then. I knew just enough to get videos done, but I remember when I first started doing videos like the robot pedal and the Pog 2 and all that kind of stuff, I started doing split screen. So you could see me in one square of the video and the pedal in the other square. And that was, I think, the influence of Pro Guitar Shop videos. So Andy, thank you if you watch this. You know, having that was huge. And then I started trying new techniques with my videos as well. And it was all a really cool learning curve. Sony Vegas was extremely glitchy and hugely time consuming, and if you added too many effects, the audio would go out of sync and all that kind of stuff. But it was the best thing that I had back then, and I used it up until I upgraded my computers, obviously, but I used it up until I got a Mac, and the Mac just made everything easier. Even if you got a Hackintosh, that's the same thing, but the Mac software's killer. It really is. If you're thinking about getting into YouTube and you're a PC guy like I was, get a Mac. Final Cut is awesome. It's so much more time effective, and don't go buy the specs either. Just go buy it because the software works with the hardware. But then we got into more amps with Dr. Rick, and that was awesome. So we went through a whole lot of custom shop stuff he had and things that I bought as well, like the deluxe reverbs and the Blues Juniors. Man, I've had probably 30 amps, and none of them were just for YouTube videos. These were things that I hope to use live, and things that I've kept, and things that I shouldn't have sold, and all that kind of stuff. And then we went back to more live playing on the channel. And then I started getting my friend Brian involved as well. He was one of the first guys I knew in Australia, or locally, or anywhere in my friend circle that had stereotone amplifiers. So that was pretty awesome as well. We got to test out some different stuff. I think all of these combined, all these little videos, all help your reach. You know, like one of the things that surprised me over the years is videos that I have no expectations for sometimes do extremely well. I did a Boss Tremolo pedal video that's had like 460,000 views, and at the time of filming it, I didn't think that would do terribly well. So you just never know, and I got into the habit of trying to film everything that I could. And then if you go through the channel, there's just so much stuff. I posted pretty much one of my full albums on here as well, and just different tracks. So that was up there. If you want to find out about that, it's just type in Shane Diorio Band, and it'll come up. The album name's Another Rainy Day. And I think another video that sort of helped the reach of the channel as well was comparing a Fender Deluxe Reverb to a Two-Rock Studio Pro 22. That got a lot of views, and that was something that seemed to be pretty interesting to a lot of people as well. And then, this was around 6 years ago as well. I was like, well, I don't have enough stuff to keep the channel rolling all the time. And I borrowed everything I could have in my friend circle. So what do? I went to a music shop and I said, hey, do you mind if I either shoot some videos in your shop, or can I borrow stuff and then bring it back? And I was still working full time, right? So I was working full time and doing this as well. And I worked with the Rock Garage. So if anyone from there is watching, I know one of their shops is closed, but yeah, I appreciate you trusting in what I did and all that kind of stuff and letting me do this. And I shot a lot of videos at the Rock Garage, and I also borrowed a lot of gear. And then I started getting into some different stuff, like more microphone reviews as well, a couple of more audio products, all that kind of stuff. And then I started a Q&A a long time ago as well, which I didn't continue. I probably should have done more of that. I might bring that back at some point. There's so many cool questions I get, and it would just be great to have a Q&A section that I can refer people to if they have. I see a lot of the same questions coming in as well, so that would make life a lot easier, but I still try and get back to as many people as I can. And then I started doing more obscure stuff because that's what I was into, like the Tokai guitars, and I started reviewing Australian-made guitars from Little Crow and some more recording products and all that kind of stuff as well. But over this time, a lot of my friends like Rick and Brian, and they were still basically buying and selling a lot of stuff like I was. So we had this circle of stuff continually coming in, which was awesome as well. And basically, yeah, I went through all of this stuff. And this, up until this particular point, around, what year was it? I'm trying to find something that I was sent here that I didn't have to buy. And I'm going back 5 years ago, and everything that's on the channel at that point was stuff that I purchased or I borrowed. Alright, so the first pedal I ever got for free, which I ended up giving back, by the way, was the GFS Electronic Blues Drive, or a GFS Electronics Blues Drive, I should say. It's a classic overdrive pedal. I think that came from Little Crow Guitars, and they let me borrow it, and they said I could keep it, but I ended up giving it back. It wasn't something that I was going to keep long term or anything like that. But I went away with work not long after that as well, and there's an update from Boston, a little vlog video, which was pretty cool. So I was working at one of the best companies in the world at that particular time as well. So I was really busy, doing like 40 hours and just trying to post videos when I could. And I should have also said, a lot of these videos weren't going up daily. They were going up like weekly or monthly at some points in time too. But there were other times where I did 1,000 videos. I got up to my 1,000th video by then. And now I'm up to somewhere like 2,300, I'm going to say. I haven't really checked. But so it took up until 4 years ago to get 1,000 videos online. How about that? That's crazy. And then I went back to the Rock Garage and I started doing all of these videos. And I pedaled myself out back then. But one of the things that really swung my channel around or made it grow or got lots of views was all of the Fender Mustang stuff. I think I was probably the largest advocate for the version 2 Mustang. I bought one. My good friend Carl had bought one. Another good friend of mine, Brian, bought one. I used to see about 2 or 3 other guys at jam nights buy them because of my recommendations. I'd give them my patches. And, you know, the videos I shot with Rick and with Brian on the Fender Mustang were just great because we could get them to sound identical to their counterparts. And even in the room, it was so hard to tell the difference. And even now, looking at my videos, a lot of this stuff I was still buying and just selling or keeping. And then another local shop reached out to me, or I sent them a message and I said, look, I have this YouTube channel. I've got 1,000 videos online. How about if you want, you can send me stuff and I'll do videos and give you shout outs on them. And obviously ship the stuff back. And that's what I did. So for probably another few months after that, I was doing videos with them. And I was just everything. I was at work and a big box would turn up full of pedals and it was fun. I used to love playing with this stuff. And then I started working also with another local pedal company here in Australia, or a pedal shop I should say, called Deluxe Guitars, and they had all high-end stuff. So I probably did 30 videos back then of their pedals that they had in stock and all that. So this is how I made ends meet. None of this stuff I got to keep. A lot of it was always given back, especially for them Deluxe Guitars. None of that stuff was kept. I didn't get any freebies from them. I did it to try to boost my channel, just to try to make it grow, because I was seriously unhappy at my job by then. I was starting to go crazy. Even though it was a really great company in terms of its status, I wasn't overly happy working there, and I kind of thought to myself, I gotta push hard, like 18 hours a day or whatever, just to get this channel to work so I can leave my day job. That was my goal. So, you know, I already knew like 6 years ago, from now I mean, that I didn't want to have to do the regular job all the time, especially one that I didn't either challenge me or I couldn't see a really decent future other than financially. So I opted to just push as hard as I could on YouTube for a long time. You probably see there was lots and lots of stuff going up all of a sudden, and that was out of frustration. That's how the channel got to where it is today. I'd get up at 6:40 a.m. I'd go to work. I'd get home at 6:40 p.m. I'd shoot a video, and then or 2 or 3. And then I'd edit them over the course of a few days, and I would be up till, I don't know, midnight, and then I'd do that all again, and I was on the energy drinks thing, just, you know, up late. And people at work are like, man, how do you drink so many energy drinks, or why do you drink them? And I was always like, oh, I'm just tired, you know, I don't sleep well. But I was secretly like pushing to try to do YouTube, and that was a huge goal for me personally, was to try to get a channel that would kind of sustain my life. Financially, YouTube's a horrible idea. It really is. Even today, I don't even earn what I earned at my old job, but I'm so much happier doing this. I love doing it. It's the tech nerd in me, it's the camera nerd in me, and all that kind of stuff, and the muso as well. So yeah, I was busting out videos, trying as much stuff as I could. I went back to Florida not long after that, and I took the initiative to contact Jerry from Jerry's Lefty Guitars. I said, this is what I do. Check out my stuff. Let me know if you want me to turn up and shoot some videos. I'm not going to charge you anything. I just want to grow my YouTube channel. And also, obviously, feature lefties, because there were none anywhere in Australia, basically. And he's like, absolutely, come by. So I met him. We became great friends. I've been back twice. And is it twice since then? Yeah, I think it might have been. I think I've been there 3 times. So 3 times I've been to Jerry's. Or is it twice? Horrible memory for stuff like that. All I know is I've got the largest archive of left-handed guitars in the world on my channel, which is awesome. And that's something that I wanted to try and do as well, have these goals where I was like, well, I'm a left-handed player. I'm in a unique position because I know how to edit videos and put things online. I might not be the best player in the world, but it's developed, and I want to have this archive of guitars, and it helped his business immensely, and it helped my channel immensely too, because even right-handed players are interested in a lot of these guitars, even if they're, they obviously don't play left-handed. It still doesn't matter. Righties can still get a kick out of these guitars, just based on the fact they can still buy them as a right-handed instrument. And then I started Mustang Monday, which was an idea that I got from Google. I had this call with them, and they said, you should theme a couple of video series. And I said, all right, I'll try one. And all I could come up with was maybe I'll give away the patches that everyone seems to like on my Mustang Monday, on my Mustang amplifier. So Mustang Monday was born. That was something that I just tried, and it became extremely popular. And not once did Fender ever say anything about it. I was really surprised. They've only recently contacted me, which was odd. I really thought that might have been incentive for them to reach out to me and say thanks or something, or whatever, or even get me on the list for future amp upgrades or something like that. But that never happened. It doesn't really matter either way. So Mustang Monday was a huge success, and I think that probably made the Fender Mustang amps more popular than they've ever been. And yeah, so it was one of those things where the old version 2s I'm talking about. It's one of those things where I had no expectations for that series, but I realized, wow, a lot of people own Fender Mustang amps, and they all found my channel. And that grew into like a 40 video series of patches and all that kind of stuff. I made, like John Mayer ones and BB King ones and all kinds of stuff. And I did them all the time. Brad Paisley, just going through some of the lists, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Mark Knopfler. And those patches, by the way, I haven't checked in the last 6 months, but last time I checked, they were over 480,000 times they were downloaded. 480,000 times. So, yeah, I think my contribution to the guitar community, at least one of them, would be definitely Mustang Monday. For anyone who had those older amps, they're really, really great. But yeah, so I guess what I was doing after that was putting up a mix of content. I filmed a lot of videos at Jerry's. I was putting up a lot of stuff. And even back then, I still probably wasn't as comfortable talking to the camera as I am now. And I see the progression of all of this stuff over time. The thing I needed to work at the most was just talking and being myself. That was one thing that I struggled with. I tried to maybe be somebody I wasn't for a while. I then tried to, I don't know, I just couldn't seem to shake that sort of insecurity talking to the camera. But I feel like now I just don't care. We had people filming us at GitCon in rooms, and after the first video I was like, you know what, let's just do our thing and forget about them. And it was fine. So I felt at ease. And that's another thing, the more you do YouTube, the more you see yourself, because you edit your own videos, you see all your flaws. All I see is my funny teeth when I edit videos, and I'm like, I got to get those fixed one day, and I've been saying that for years. You see all the imperfections. It's weird how it works. I'm not a self-conscious person in reality at all, but yeah, just seeing yourself in video form or every day editing, it's a weird experience that I've just kind of got used to over the years. It's odd. So I guess after that, you're probably almost up to date where things were. I upgraded my cameras, and about 3 or 4 years ago, also, I started the In the Blues podcast. So it's been going for at least 4 years. I'm not exactly sure what the first episode was. I was cutting them up into smaller sections back then as well. And that proved to be really popular as well, at least in comparison to other videos I was doing. So I found an audience through creating a podcast. Back then it wasn't on iTunes either. I don't think. It was just, it may have been actually. But I think it was just a YouTube only thing in short segments. And then I went, you know what? I'm going to do this on iTunes as well. So you can find it on both. And yeah, I've tried a lot of other things outside of YouTube over the years as well, but I always just come back to it because, not that I ever left, but it's the thing I enjoy the most. It gives me the freedom to plan my day and try new things, and this is the one thing that changed in my thought process. I'd go to a job where I was a tech guy, so I used to have to fix other people's problems, and now I get to create something from nothing. It feels a lot more fulfilling coming up with something out of thin air as opposed to running around in circles trying to get things done. So I tried a few funny videos as well. Top 10 signs you're a cliche musician, and I just went through a lot of gear back then as well. And this was after I left my job, so we're into 3 or 4 years ago now. And I tried a forum, like an online community forum, which kind of did okay, but then the hosting ruined it. Thanks, GoDaddy. You're awesome. And then, just going through, the second last camera upgrade I made was to Canon XA20s, which were awesome cameras. Tone King had one. Actually, he did a review on his camera. Or he did like some sort of stream with it or something, or a post about it, and that was the video that pretty much sold me on it. I was like, man, his video quality looks insane. I'll pick up a couple of those as well. So before I left my job, actually, I bought 2 of those. I got a nice bonus, and I went, you know what? Let's invest in myself, and let's see how we go. So those cameras pretty much went through all the way up until recently, when I upgraded to the 4K stuff that I've got now. There was a middle step there with a couple of Sony 4K cameras, but I'm pretty much set on the Panasonic stuff. And then after that, I think it was around probably 60 to 70,000 subscribers, which is where I noticed like a lot of companies were saying, hey, we'd love you to review this. And I just said yes to everything, because it was at a time where I'd noticed like the things I expect to do or don't have any expectations for doing well can sometimes do really well. So for me, it was like, yeah, I'll just say yes to everything. And then I got to a point where I was like, no, I'm not going to do everything that I get offered, because I'm starting to find, or I'd already found the niche I was placed in on YouTube, but there was a lot of stuff that was kind of like doubling up on things I'd already done. So yeah, Mustang Monday continued and made a comeback, and that did really well also. And then I just started getting more friends involved on the channel, like my friend Alex, and that was 2 years ago. We did a Japanese guitar video together. He had a lot of them. It was a Les Paul one, and I had a couple at the time as well. And then I was out of ideas, so I went to another local shop here called World of Music and asked if I could shoot videos in their shop after hours or during business hours, and they said, yep, there's a studio upstairs, grab whatever you like. So that was awesome. And I always find ways to keep the channel busy. And more so, now it's a lot easier for me in terms of having stuff. Like I get to a point where I'm like, oh, I've only got 2 pedal videos to go or 2 amplifiers to go, like this little guy back here and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden I get 3 emails. So the bigger the channel gets, it does get easier to source stuff. But if it ever dries up, I'll just go back to shooting or borrowing stuff from a shop, because it's easy and I can return it. And I did that with Sky Music also. For quite a while, I was shooting like a video a day last year. Was it last year or this year? Whenever it was, I was plowing out the videos, and that was one of those things that really helped the channel as well. I got to, use a whole lot of stuff that I was maybe not able to find otherwise, or at least be able to afford and all that kind of stuff. So that was awesome. So having these relationships with shops is really good. Yeah, I tried a whole lot of different content from there on in, and it kind of brings us up to about where I am today. There's the cheap pedal demos thing was really popular, so I probably shot 50 cheap pedal demos, did a whole lot of amp videos, tried some more boutique stuff, and just whatever got sent out, and then with the birth of Guitar Search Saturday, that kind of opened up a different kind of audience as well, and that's been really, really popular. And I can't believe that it's only been going for, let me just find the original one here. It's had 14,000 views, and it went live on March 17, 2017. So, it's not that old, the series, and I'm already up to, I've got up to 30 of them available in my editing right now. So there'll be at least 30 to 31 videos from Guitar Search Saturday coming up. Another really huge thing that also helped my channel was doing things like help tutorial videos, how to do this, how to do that. And that definitely helps, and then you get all the people telling you how they do it, which is cool too, because if it's valid, then you pin the comment and people can get information from that as well. So overall, there was a whole lot of things I saw and tried that I might have seen on other channels as well, and I got inspiration from Guitar Search Saturday from watching a series called Flea Market Madness from Pat the NES Punk. So mine's like a really refined version of that. And I did an interview with Reverb.com where I gave him a shout out about that as well. The idea actually came from one of the subscribers, Ben. So if you're watching, mate, I appreciate your input. And that that's a niche and a spot on YouTube that, you know, I've seen other people come up with their guitar shop videos, but Guitar Search Saturday is its own beast, and I'm really proud of that. And this is kind of like the guy in me that loves doing documentaries and stuff as well. I've done 2 of those, and I like coming up with things video related, obviously. And then I got, like I said, I got my friend Ryan on the channel not long after Alex, and we did some videos as well. I started doing the community hangouts and all that, so subscribers could have a chat with me and whoever else was on, and that was cool. And then it's all about music in the end. I'm going to start changing things up, maybe trying a few of the things I used to do back in the old days that I didn't get maybe as much traction as I thought back then, but they might do better now. So after meeting some of the dudes at GitCon and all that kind of stuff and seeing how big their channels are without really doing any gear stuff, I thought, you know what? There's definitely an audience for certain types of content. Some of the content I'm already making, some I'm not. But I think one of the things that hopefully stands out about my videos is how honest I am with a lot of my reviews. So, you know, a big criticism I had was the new Fender Mustang GTs. I purchased one full price and I didn't like it. I made a video about it, and that definitely helped my channel grow. Might not have helped their sales, but Fender, you know, appreciated that, which was odd. So they're going to try their luck by sending me another one. So if it's good, I'll let you know, and if it's not, I'll let you know. So we'll see if it's been fixed, but it's been fun to do a mix of content from Lefty Guitars, Guitar Search Saturdays, mics, pedals, amps, all this stuff that's just fun for me. And then just trying like obscure little videos from time to time, and people are like, what is this? That's always fun as well. I gotta keep it interesting for myself, because being that this is what I do, I need to keep motivated and positive, and I need to try to keep doing things that makes me think a little bit more when it comes to videos. It was a time, clearly, I was doing way too many pedal videos, but now I'm being really selective with what I try. I'm sent stuff. If I like it, I'll film it. If I don't, generally I won't. So, not always, but there's stuff that I get asked, hey, do you want to try this? I'm like, no, I don't want to try it. So a lot of the videos that you've seen lately, which brings us to where we are right now, just some different stuff. Like Rick and I kind of did a couple of vlog videos while we were in Germany. I tried Free Camper Fridays, which didn't do well, but you know, this is how it works. You just got to try stuff and see if it does any good. And some of the content I'm shooting, or Rick and I shot while we were at GitCon, is great. We got to do some stuff with Pete Thorne and Kafir. We got to test some really cool gear. I got to meet the Tone King. He's just a lovely guy. I got to do some stuff with Steve from Boston as well. So there'll be lots of videos going up from there. And, you know, interviewing Andy Martin was a lot of fun. That was the first morning. We all got there. He was standing behind me. He's like, hey, how you doing? You know, like we've been watching each other for years. So that morning was when we shot that video, and it didn't go up until a couple of days later. But it was a really chilled chat. And for those who are interested, he'll be posting a video he did with us. So stay tuned for that. It's Andy Demos is the name of his YouTube channel. But yeah, I've got lots of stuff in the... Is it in the can? Is that what they call it? I don't know. I've got lots of stuff on the hard drive right now, which is sort of making its way to YouTube. And there'll be content coming up for, I guess, I don't know, what, until maybe mid-November. I haven't got all scheduled, but there's enough content at least until then. And hopefully by then, more stuff will turn up and I can keep doing what I do. Or I'll just start making other types of videos. And I have a few other kinds of series I definitely want to put together. I'm inspired to do it. It's a long time it's a long time coming, I guess. I get asked this a lot, so I'm gonna definitely be making a few videos that will be helpful for everybody as well. A few more. So that takes it to where we are today. 100,000 subscribers, or just over 100,300. It's the October 20 right here. I got up at 4 p.m. and it's 8 p.m. here right now, and I'm wide awake. Jet lag's awesome, folks. So, I've got a couple of really cool things on the way, and what can I tell you? GitCon was a great experience. I didn't obviously made it clear last year I wasn't interested in going, but this year seemed like the right year, and I spoke to a few people about this as well. Financially, YouTube's a pretty tough thing to do without flogging t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. And you might notice I very rarely promote Patreon or any of that kind of stuff, but for the guys that do support me on there, I really appreciate that as well. And I'm going to see how we go. The end of the financial year here is in June 2019. So we'll see if the channel gains momentum again. I'll keep at it. If not, I'll probably go back to working part-time. I'm not big into getting freebies, and I know I do get gear sent to me as well, but I'm not big in terms of looking for handouts. That's not what I'm about. And when I see people putting up, you know, GoFundMe's for getting to NAM and all that kind of stuff, it makes me kind of sick. I'm like, just get a job for a month, you know, like that's my mentality. So I'm going to try and keep doing this as long as I can. June's kind of like the month where I'll decide, you know what, is this something I want to do full-time still, or whether it's something I can just go back to making 2 or 3 videos a week, which is still plenty. But even if I work for 3 months out of the year somewhere, I'll still have time to obviously do YouTube. But I'm not looking at going back full-time like, 300 days a year or anything like that. But it might be I'll take an IT contract for 3 months again, just to sort of get the funds back into the account, because stuff comes up, and that's just how it is. But thank you for watching, thank you for listening. I know this video is probably gone for a long time. It's gone for 48 minutes or something like that, so it's been going for a while. But yeah, I just thought I'd put together this long video about what I'm doing, where it started, and where I see the channel. So where I see it going is the fact that it will continue to grow. I don't see any reason why it won't. I try to keep it as clean as possible in terms of its language and in terms of the comment section and all that kind of stuff. That's one thing that if anyone's ever if you're a YouTuber, you know what it's like. If you put yourself out there, you open yourself up to criticism, and I don't really care what people think of my playing or what I look like or whatever. But the only thing I don't tolerate in the comments is personal attack. So that's the stuff that I remove. But otherwise, it's an interesting place to be, and it's an interesting thing to do, and I enjoy it, even though you end up getting this like a really thick skin when it comes to stuff with YouTube. But the positives outweigh the negatives a mile. It's like 99% awesome, 1% kind of crazy at times. But yeah, I love what I do, and I love the fact that everyone's supported me for this long. There's a few subscribers out there that have been on the channel since the early days, and I can't thank you enough. And yeah, I don't know what to say. It's changed my life, and it's made me a much more positive person doing something that I love, as opposed to doing the grind. And a lot of people they almost expect their job to bring them the satisfaction, but I'm not one of those kind of guys. And I think if I ever decided to give this up, or I couldn't do it anymore, and I went back to work, I would find something that I love, as opposed to something that I'm good at, which may not be that fun. So yeah, it puts a lot of things into perspective. And yeah, I don't have any plans to pull a pin anytime soon, so don't take away from the last part of this thinking that's the case. It's just financially, I think the best thing for me to do is, if the channel has 1,000 more videos by June and I'm earning less money than I was last year, that's probably a sign that it's not working out so well. Alright guys, well, have a good day, have a good evening. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Like I said, if you are just watching or listening on iTunes, watch it on YouTube, In The Blues YouTube channel. You can check it out there. And if you're not subscribed on iTunes, feel free to do so. So this has been the In The Blues Tone podcast, 100,000 subscriber jet lag, not live stream, podcast. So I hope you enjoyed it. My body clock and brain are kind of all twisted at the moment, so I reckon the next few days I should be all good. But yeah, thanks for hanging around for so long on the channel. Thanks for being a new subscriber, and hopefully there's been enough sort of overlays on this video to make it an enjoyable watch. So thanks again. I'll catch you soon. See ya.